English language learning applications can sometimes be helpful, but they will not make you fluent in English by themselves. The three things I'm going to show you in this video are way more important for increasing your level of English fluency, especially from the intermediate levels up to the advanced levels of English. They are all intangible and they cannot be downloaded. Especially for beginners, apps can be helpful to learn the most common and the most basic English vocabulary words and expressions. And at the intermediate levels, some apps can help you study a little bit more efficiently than you otherwise would have. But if you rely on apps by themselves, they will absolutely not make you fully fluent in English or bring you up to the advanced levels of the English language. I've helped many people with their English over the years, and I've seen you guys, unfortunately, make the same common mistakes over and over, specifically when it comes to the applications that you choose to use to learn the English language. I can 100% guarantee you that if you choose to completely rely on using applications to improve your level of English, you will plateau around the lower intermediate level and you will never get up to the advanced levels of English. Also, to help some of you guys out, I recorded a free training lesson showing you the fastest ways to become fluent in English by yourself. If you'd like to check that out later, I'll leave a link somewhere in the pinned comment or the description below. Now, the first factor we're going to talk about is the mindset that you actually need to achieve your fluency goal in English. Now, quite frankly, it's completely acceptable to have a fluency goal at the intermediate levels, being B1 or B2, or have a fluency goal to reach the advanced levels of C1 or C2. If you just want to be able to have surface level conversations in English and be able to navigate your way through common scenarios where you'll need to use the English language, like if you're at an airport, if you want to order at a restaurant, if you want to go to the grocery store, then honestly, you don't really need to learn English past the B1 or B2 levels of English. However, if you want to have more meaningful conversations in English, or if you need to learn English for school to get into a certain university, or you want to learn English for work so you can get a higher paying job or a more desirable job, then it would make sense for you to set a fluency goal to achieve the C1 or the C2 level of English. Now, the path you take to get to the B1 level versus the path you take to get to the C2 level are going to be different and will require a different mindset, of course. I would say if you want to achieve the C2 level of English, you're going to need a very serious purpose as to why you need to learn the English language. And you're going to need to go the extra mile and do some things that the average English learner would not do. Keep in mind that the average English learner would download an application such as Duolingo, and then they would quiz themselves on different topics. Again, this is cool for beginners, but if you want to be above average in the English language, you're going to have to do some above average things. And unfortunately, Duolingo is a very average thing to do. Throughout this YouTube channel, I cover many different techniques that you can use to increase your level of English, but the main point of this is that you really need a strong reason why you want to learn English to go above and beyond and achieve the C1 or C2 levels. And unfortunately, there's no application that's really going to be able to inspire you or give you the tools that you need to actually achieve that level. This leads into the next factor, which is you're going to need a real life experience if you want to reach the higher levels of English fluency. Now, of course, there are a lot of apps that try to simulate this, but it is not the same at all. I promise you. There are many apps where you can even speak with an AI robot and have a conversation with it, which is cool. And it's actually, I think, very good for beginners to use something like that. But as a native English speaker who communicates every day with other native English speakers, I can promise you, I can guarantee you, talking with the AI robot is nothing even close to the way that you will communicate with a real human being. especially in the English language. In the English language, when native speakers speak very fast and we use advanced idioms and advanced slang terms, we mix cursed words into it. And sometimes we even just invent our own words out of thin air, depending on what we're talking about. It's extremely difficult to replicate all of that in an application. Real life experience interacting with English speakers is priceless. Not only will you learn a ton about how real life English is actually used amongst native English speakers, but you will also be able to associate everything else moving forward with the real anecdotal experiences that you had yourself. These experiences are going to make you a million times more confident and more sure of yourself the next interaction you go into moving forward. And this ties into the third factor, which is reflection and feedback. More specifically, quality feedback. Now, if you are at the lower intermediate level or the beginner levels, you should definitely use a native English speaker to get your feedback from. This is extremely easy to do as there are tons of language exchange platforms out there where you can access native English speakers absolutely for free. However, if you're at the upper intermediate level or the advanced levels of English, you should be at a level where you can really just give yourself feedback. At the higher levels of English, you should just be able to record yourself answering open-ended questions, and you should be able to see the gaps in where you need to improve your English. As you watch the recording back, you should have enough life experience by that point to understand the difference between how you communicate and how other native English speakers communicate. Now, the main question that we should ask ourselves is, why can't applications replace these three things? Well, first of all, I don't believe that there is any application that's going to give you the correct mindset to achieve a certain level of English that you're trying to achieve. If you have a streak on an application like Duolingo and it says, oh, you've done 5 days in a row, now you should do 6 days in a row, you're getting better, you're getting more fluent. It's all an illusion. It's not real. It's really good that these apps are being encouraging and they're trying to get you to stay consistent and they're trying to get you to keep going. But I'm telling you right now, you will need to do above average things if you want to achieve an above average level of English fluency. Most people who attempt to learn English struggle to get to the intermediate levels, and then they can never get past the intermediate level, ever. You can absolutely achieve this, but you're going to need to use some proven techniques as opposed to applications that are a lot less proven to work when it comes to becoming genuinely fluent in English. Apps also, for obvious reasons, cannot replace a real life experience. Again, there are plenty of applications out there where you can talk to AI robots verbally, but I'm telling you, it's not the way that native English speakers communicate. Not myself, none of my friends, none of the other native English speakers I know. We talk in a completely different way than any AI tool that you're currently using to speak English with. Again, very good for beginners, great for beginners who are not at the level where they can speak with a real native speaker like myself yet. It's great for them to just get started. But if you're watching this and if you're currently at one of the intermediate levels, B1 or B2, you need to stop talking with robots and you need to start talking with real people. You need to start getting real life experience interacting with real English speakers. Apps cannot really replace quality feedback. I know that there are a lot of apps out there as well that can correct your writing or correct your speech when you speak into the microphone, but it's based on textbook English. And unfortunately, native English speakers do not follow textbook English most of the time. As a matter of fact, native English speakers like myself and most others intentionally ignore correct grammatical rules in the English language. We will intentionally use informal or bad grammar in certain situations to add an element to the way we convey something in a conversation. A very common example is if someone's trying to be funny, they might purposely say something with bad grammar. So, although you're getting textbook feedback for your writing and speech with some of these applications, it's not necessarily an accurate representation of how people communicate in English in the real world. So, honestly, if you work on these three things, being your mindset, getting a real life experience, and getting quality feedback, and you maybe complement it with certain applications, this could be a much more efficient way to learn English and try to increase your level of English. Focus on using the most proven techniques, which I talk about a lot on this channel, being simulation, visualization, shadowing, spaced repetition, and any other techniques that have actually been proven to work. And then use apps such as YouTube to complement it, to validate what you're saying in a video like the one I'm recording right now, or to watch or listen to a podcast about a subject that you're interested in. This is how apps should be used, as a complement and not as your primary source of increasing your English level. Now, leave a comment down below telling me where you're from and what your native language is. I'm curious to know. And as you gain more life experience learning the English language, you'll be sure to encounter more interactions with native English speakers. To learn how to prepare yourself for this, be sure to watch the next video on the screen.